Hello everyone. So yesterday I didn't upload a video yesterday because I had a Skype call with Michael Lustig, who's doing his own podcast vlog channel thing, trying to build a bit of a following and make interesting content, and is futuristically minded as well, as similar sort of mindset to my own, trying to figure out where technology is going and what we can do with it and how to enhance it and make our lives better. The usual sort of transhumanisty, futuristic-y tech sort of thing. And that was a 1 hour long conversation. I was going to upload it to my channel, but I haven't got the original video. He recorded it. You can just watch it on YouTube, and I will put the link in the notes on this video if you want to go see it. Now again, of course, because I don't think anyone's watching this, and I don't think anyone should watch this, I don't expect anyone to do that. But blah. So that's what I did yesterday, amongst other things. But that's why there wasn't a video. Now, these are my drafts. The catalogue of projects working to solve misinformation has been going really well. It's been getting a bit of attention. I've had a few people tweet me and message me to add them to the list, which has been great. It's nice to think we might be getting to covering everyone. Someone in the fake news Sci Gmail group, an email list that I'm on, asked for people from like misinformation evaluation services to get in touch with them. So I thought I'd help out by just replying with my catalogue of all the projects so that they have a list of people that they could reach out to as well. So it could go both ways. And so I've basically introduced my list to that group now. And in response to that, someone from Facebook emailed me because my document, I added a section for like internal efforts, as in efforts by the large corporations. Platform internal efforts, Facebook, Google, Twitter. So someone from Facebook sort of said, well, actually, we're doing a lot more than that, which of course is true, but most of it's probably less appropriate to be in this list, because the attempt of this list is specific efforts to provide systemic solutions. And a lot of what Facebook is doing and what Google's doing, even algorithm, Google's link there, the algorithm changes, doesn't really fit into the list. It's just all that Google seems to be doing on it, aside from giving money to funds to try and fund a bit more journalism and fact-checking. But none of those things are really what this list is about. This list is about systemic, scalable solutions that take the current situation and try and solve the misinformation problem. And updating your algorithm to be better, like, that's such a subjective thing to do, and it's something you have to test and see if it's better, and whether that, like, this whole situation basically came about because of algorithm based search and social media situations. So on one hand, it's like, yes, if your algorithms worked in a way which didn't create this problem to begin with, I don't mean to assign blame to the companies for doing it, it's just a consequence of the web, really. But like, if somehow that was possible, then yes, that could be a solution to misinformation. But I don't think, like, the problem comes because of the internet. So deleting the internet would solve the problem, but it's not the solution. That's just taking a step back. And similarly, like, by fixing the algorithms, if that's even possible, and I don't think it is, isn't the solution. That's just undoing the problem. So these solutions need to be things that are sort of built on top of the systems that we already have. We already have algorithms determining content for us. We already have journalists doing fact-checking and attempting to be reliable reporters of reality. These things exist. What can we do to ensure that these systems then allow people to be well-informed rather than misinformed? So, like, it's like this list is about those efforts, things that you build on top of the status quo. It is a non-strict definition. It's ambiguous. It's there's nothing particularly clear about where. There's no black and white about what is and isn't in the list as I'm seeing it, and it is a gradient of efforts. But if we stray too far from what I've tried to describe this list is about, then you very quickly get into the thousands and thousands of efforts. Lots of people working on teaching media literacy and critical thinking, and teaching journalists how to fact check better before they publish, and efforts to improve media companies and their processes, and efforts to reach out to groups that need help. There's so many efforts, and this list isn't to imply, and my whole message is not to imply that they are worthless or not good or not helping. They're all necessarily all good, but their intentions are usually good, and they're trying to make the world a better place, and they're trying to fight a serious problem. But I've argued many times that those efforts won't solve it. They are the jigsaw pieces that will make up the whole picture in the end. They're part of it, but they aren't the picture. They're the tools, and we need core systemic solutions that use those tools, that use the available substrate of this problem, which is the internet and information and critical thinkers and all these things that are already interacting, and to structure them into a way that resolves the current problem, which is like imbalances of those things. Too much information, too many creators of fake information, and not enough critical thinkers correcting, and the delivery of those things, the algorithms. It's the way they interact, the way they interplay, that needs to be structured and organized and fixed. So that's what I think of these things as trying to do. I don't think it's just a secret that my opinion of what most of these efforts are is not hopeful. I do think well-intentioned and value in certain places, but I don't think any of them will play any significant role in actually solving the problem, except for the Socratic web. And I do honestly think I'm saying that not because I'm an egomaniac. I think my idea is the right one. I think my idea is the right one because I think it's the right idea, and that's why I'm working on it. I'm not biased because I've backed myself into a corner and I'm defending it. I very slowly and intentionally walked into the corner because it's the only thing that made sense, and I'll continue to argue for it because the whole premise of the thing is exactly what I want. Prove me wrong. Show me how my thinking is false. That's what I want. I'm not defending it for the sake of it. I have invested a lot into it, but sunk cost fallacy right there. I don't want to invest any more time in something that's a waste of time. I don't. I'm gaining nothing from doing this as far as I can tell. This is not helping me make money. There's no money in this. It's not helping even train me for a career that I can step into after this. I'm not gaining any skills from this that'll make me more employable than I currently am, which is unemployable. As I said before, which is one of the reasons why I started focusing on trading cryptos a little bit, because buying cryptos is the best thing I've done to help ensure my financial security. But particularly while the market's crashing, I can't keep spending my capital and expect to be able to live long term. So I have to have cash flow options, and getting a job just, I don't know, seems to be impossible for me. So I keep working on what I want to work on, finding ways to scrape by. So working on this is, if it's not actually doing what I want it to do, if it's not actually solving the problem, then it's a complete waste of time. So, and probably annoyance to everyone else, because all I do is criticize what they do. So if someone can show me how my thinking on this is flawed, I would love that to happen. But every time I engage in these discussions, I don't get shown that. I get dismissals, or the sort of responses that cliche makes sense, which is someone who, in a world full of people where everyone's struggling to sort of solve a problem or grappling with the severity of the problem and how complex it is, and it's well, this is going to be really hard, and you've got thousands of people and millions of dollars being thrown at it, and then someone sits up and goes, I've got the answer. Yes, it's perfectly reasonable to go, you're fucking crazy. I get that. I see it all the time. I understand it. And so I know that having any confidence in saying this is it, this is the answer, is probably just putting people off, and they're not even taking the time to engage with the ideas. And I don't know necessarily how to get around that, because when I started Rebuttal, I didn't stand up and say, hey, I'm solving the world's problems. It was a really simple idea, and I got some traction, but there was a lot of pushback on aspects of it because people didn't like that misinformation would be shared as equally as valid information. And so there's a lot of resistances that would lead into the sorts of debates and arguments that I've had hundreds of times now, that is like pulling teeth every single time, because the natural inclination is so opposed to what this does. Like, no one actually wants it to do what it does in the discrete, in the engagement, in the what it does experientially. But everyone wants the outcome of it. It's just that no one can see that this will provide the outcome. And it's a perfectly valid criticism. I accept this one, that I don't know that it will be the outcome. There is some element of hope or assumption in my claims, but my claims fundamentally are not that this will solve the problem. My fundamental claim is that the philosophy of this approach is the only thing that can solve the problem. The philosophy of exposing people to critical analysis of every idea, the Socratic method, the scientific method, the principle of falsification. This is all we have, philosophically speaking, to solve misinformation, because solving misinformation isn't about correcting misinformation. It's not about saying that information is wrong. Solving misinformation is about helping individuals who believe the misinformation to change their mind. And that is a long-term process that requires that sort of Socratic dialectic process to allow them to change their own mind. And of course, changing people's minds is a hard thing. It's not about those. There's shorthand things to just help people see that that's misinformation, and we should have that available, because then people don't fall for the Pope endorses Trump bullshit headline. It just tells them this is fake, and they go, "Oh, I almost believe that," and they move on. On that level, the Socratic method, the Socratic web approach, does that as well. It does that. To some extent, less aggressively than what the other efforts do. But all the other efforts, all the things that want to just flag the misinformation, create counter pressures against themselves. They create resistance. They create antagonization. They ostracize people so that people then start thinking of those systems as flawed. They stop trusting the systems. And so all the efforts that's like, hey, here's the thing that we can do to make an immediate impact, and that's what we need to do now, because there's an immediate problem, we need an immediate impact. Even though we know critical thinking is the real answer in the long term, we can't just do that. Those efforts, I see no evidence that they're actually going to help things, even in the short term. And in fact, some of the studies have shown, like with Facebook's experiment with the flagging, that it actually has like backfiring effects, not reinforcing the false beliefs necessarily, but creating a false sense of security that the things that aren't flagged are probably true, and so people believe the non-flagged things way more readily than they should. And so it's creating a bigger problem than it's solving, because having people just more readily, blindly accepting what they read is the exact opposite of what we need. It is creating a greater problem than we currently have. So these sorts of efforts, well-intentioned and obvious, so obvious, because this list is just, look, everyone's got the same idea. Why don't we have a system which tells people what they can trust? Because it doesn't help. It makes things worse. Anyway, so public drafts. On that front, I actually spent, was it yesterday or the day before? I started writing this article, which is about as ranty as what I just said. So I've just pretty much repeated this. And one of the things that I'm going to put into it that's a pain in the ass, I don't know why I'm so reluctant to do it, but it's the one thing I've never done, is actually just sit down and lay out all of the evidence that I have for believing the way that I believe. Because so often I just sort of assert it because it is an experience I've had daily on the web. I mean, anyone that spent any time arguing with people in online forums, communities, Facebook pages, Reddit, Twitter, you get into an argument with someone about climate change, then you go, well, this is one of the things I'm struggling to find. Like, I can get this picture of the Conservapedia entry on Wikipedia, but what is harder for me to find is interactions that I have had in the past that I want to sort of show screenshots of them to show this is the reality of the situation. Is talking to someone about climate change, and I say, and then it's like, it's not real. I'm like, but the scientific consensus says it's real, and they go, no, it doesn't. Show me blah blah blah. And then I go to Wikipedia is scientific opinion on climate change, and scientific opinion on climate change, scientific opinion, blah blah blah. Several studies, scientific expresses consensus. This particular line I'm looking for. No scientific body of national or international standing maintains a formal opinion dissenting from any of these main points. Makes sense. None disagree. The last to stop disagreeing was the petroleum geologists. And as of last time I looked at this, it's probably the same. Yet there's 3 that are non-committal, and it's the petroleum geologists, the professional geologists, and the Canadian Federation of Earth Sciences. People involved in mining oils and coal. So I have these debates, and I link people to this, and I just point out, no scientific body disagrees with this. And the number of times the reaction to something like that is, link to Wikipedia, that's a leftist, blah, blah, blah. They dismiss the article, ignoring the fact that the article spells it out, provides references, provides original sources. Like, I don't care that I'm linking to Wikipedia. I'm like, okay, then I go and find the link to the original sources, and I just show them that. It's frustrating that I have to take that extra step, but people have internally started to, and not everyone, but enough, just dismiss anything that's on Wikipedia because it disagrees with their opinion enough. And so it's the same thing. The people that climate change deniers, when they see that these bodies, these scientific bodies that have done nothing but try to find the truth for hundreds of years in many cases, and have principles and guides, and like, as someone who considers himself a scientist, even though I haven't done science in labs since university, and by no measure an actual scientist, but I'm a scientist in my mind. I'm a philosopher and a scientist. I think this way, and my life is, I'm in love with it. I don't know. And I know enough scientists. This is the other thing. To have been involved in that through university and knowing all these scientists, the idea that the people that go into that realm and do this research and dedicate their lives to it, and earn shit fucking money, by the way, are just there to make propaganda and sell shit, and they're just bought out and biased, is such bullshit that it's displaying an intense ignorance. And nearly every time you talk to people about this stuff, they're always coming from a position where they don't fucking know science. They don't know scientists. They have not lived in that world. And that's pretty indicative of the situation. But these people that reach these conclusions, and then you show them something like this, which is like every scientific body has said this, their answer to that is not, well, shit, I didn't realize that science was pretty much concluded. Their answer is, well, they're all bought out. They are all towing the line because of political bias and motivations, because Big Green is paying them money to say that. And if you're a scientist and you disagree, then you're going to lose your job. And so everyone's motivated by self-interest. They dismiss every organization that disagrees with their conclusion out of hand. And so then we have all these people that try and solve this problem by coming in and going, we're going to make another system, another organization, another process, another protocol that figures out how to assess what is true and false, and then people will believe that. If they don't believe the most prestigious, fact-orientated, evidence-based systems that the Earth has ever come up with, they just dismiss them out of hands because they disagree with each other. No truth or fact-checking solutions going to solve it. And I've got off topic. I'm just repeating the same point again, aren't I? Because my point that started all that on was that finding the evidence of this fact, I've got enough of it in studying things like that, Wikipedia, article just explaining how Wikipedia is a piece of junk and leftist and in some cases even socialist, communist and Nazi sympathizing. So there's enough examples like that. But the point is most people seem to just dismiss like this article as that's just the fringe, that's just an extreme example. Of course someone's going to hate Wikipedia. Fucking talk to people on the web. Go to Twitter. Pick a fight. And you'll quickly find that this is normal. This is not fringe. This is not extreme. This is the average person and how they respond to things. And not everyone you interact with on Twitter is a Russian bot. Not everyone that creates crazy misinformation and propaganda is actually a tool of enemy agents. Some of them might be, and a lot of them may be influenced by that. And that's definitely part of a strategy of a decent propaganda campaign. But the problem is the average person. The average person. Everyone. And like, not on every issue, not all the time, not in every way, but that's the problem. And so we've really got to get our heads around that fact. That the average person is the problem, and the solutions that everyone's coming up with aren't addressing the problem. They're just falling into the same mistake that created the problem. That was a rant I didn't intend to make, and that's probably completely pointless. Get a bit of attention for it. So I need to hurry up and finish this because I still have my other article that I haven't finished from the other day, from last week, how to use confirmation bias to beat misinformation. And I also quickly started this article as a prompt to remind me to write this, because I had a great conversation with the founder or CTO, founder definitely, of BitPress. Great conversation. I think I mentioned it already. And one of the things he said was, in building it, like, he was thinking of the other people that he sees coming into the space and how they're going to solve everything and do everything. It's going to be magical and it's going to be great. He's like, he knows from having built what they've done with BitPress that they were trying to do something reasonably simple, and it is infinitely more complex than he ever imagined. And the things they've had to solve has been amazing and crazy. And as soon as he said that, I'm like, that's funny, because I'm glad he said it, because it reminded me that that's one of the things that I know from building Rebutter. And sometimes I say to people, Rebutter is the simplest thing. It's a database with 2 URLs. Like, that's what it comes down to at its core. You have no idea how fucking hard it was to build that. Like, as far as things go, it wasn't hard compared to everything else. But this is my point. Something that simple should be like, well, I do it on a weekend, and to some extent you can. But the problems that come up when you make something that simple are still crazily, amazingly, infinitely complex. And the one example that I gave to Lloyd in the conversation was, you think that it's just two URLs. If you have a URL, you have a URL. Every URL can be infinitely unique for one page, because on any URL, like this one, let's use one that's not like a dynamic page. I can add question mark what at the end. Oh look, it's still the same page, but the URL is now different. In 2006 or 8 or something like that, Google, Yahoo, and Microsoft all got together and invented permalinks so that each page could indicate what its true URL is. And so that's within the HTML. And so that's one way around it. It's not guaranteed though, because it's up to the page itself to include permalink in the header text. But we had to figure that out, because the number of times we'd have a page that was rebutted and then we'd reload it and the rebuttal wouldn't appear in the thing because the URL changed every time you loaded the page. And we're like, you don't see that problem coming. And that's a really simple one. Like, we could solvable, but it's still imperfect because we still have pages that they don't use permalinks, or even the permalink changes for some reason. Like, it's stupid. And it's one of the issues we will have with the Socratic web is people that will intentionally change the URL to avoid being flagged, to avoid being critiqued. And this isn't a system that's just that. That's just that simple. And like there are other 10, 20 other like significant problems that I still am not certain of the best solution to. Have ideas, and even then, I'm like, there are a couple that are going to be genuinely hard. Like with the Socratic Web, how you allow people to vote, even how you determine who can submit and how that's moderated to stop someone just spamming a million pages to a million different pages all the time. Like there has to be some limitation to stop that risk. And the same thing with voting. There has to be some limitation to stop rampant runaway voting, but it needs to be open to everyone. And they are two genuinely hard questions to solve optimally. To both of them, I have answers, but they could both suck. But in the scheme of things, they are easy to answer compared to what other people are trying to do, which is create systems that do everything. And the working parts, the moving parts, meshing together and creating something that works is just impractically unlikely. Anyway, so again, talking too long. Power of simplicity. I need to communicate this fact to people working on this, that you're overcomplicating it for yourselves. You're trying to invent artificial fucking intelligence in most of the cases to solve things that it's just really hard. Now, the reply I got from Facebook had a list of the things that Facebook have been publicly sort of posting about their work on misinformation. And there was something I wanted to say on that. I've forgotten. I definitely want to talk to Facebook about sort of the philosophy behind fighting misinformation, and make sure that they have the teams that are working on this and deciding on what Facebook are doing have at least heard my arguments, so that they can hopefully justify not thinking the way that I think, or taking it into account at least. Damn it, no, I completely forgot what it was. Reducing the spread, clickbait, low quality, third-party fact checkers, and it's all falling into the same problem I generally rally against. Clickbait, changing algorithms to reduce the spread of fake news. I've already talked about that. Additional context, love that. That's the answer. That is how we solve this problem. Context, scaffolding to help people make better information to decide for themselves. Yeah, I don't know. Doesn't matter. That's it for today. Fucking crypto is dying. It's not dying. I don't actually believe that it's actually dying, but it's just going down, and I'm very sad and a little bit terrified because I opened longs too quickly, and I stupidly listened to my hope. I hoped that it would bounce there. I hoped that it would resist this again. It didn't. I hoped that... Let's get the daily. I hoped that this area would be enough support below it like there was last time. It hasn't been. It is now broken lower than the lowest of this drop. And here I am again, somewhat. It broke lower than the last low, and in my mind I was thinking the second it breaks lower than that, then we are confirming the bear market. We are going down, and so I should close all of my longs. I should even sell all of my coins and into short positions and just wait for the bottom and try and make as much money as I can on the rest of the way down. But of course, the second it breaks the lower low, it bounces back up a little bit, and now I'm like, maybe everyone is thinking the way that I'm thinking. Everyone's thinking that made that same process as it shouldn't go lower than this. Oh shit, it has. Well, it's okay. Maybe it won't go lower than this. Oh shit, it has. Everyone's thinking, well, now that confirms the bear market. So then I'm thinking, that's like, markets are. I'm not saying this is manipulation. Everything is a manipulation, but that's it. The whales that are playing this game, trying to make as much money as they want. It makes sense that they try and push it past that low to get some panic, to get people to panic sell so that they can buy up the cheap coins and then drive the price up a little bit so that they can just flip that difference. They can buy it at the bottom because they've got the money and the backing to affect the volume to know that they can hold that price up and suck up all those cheap coins and thus create the confusion. And then people are like, oh, that is the bottom, it's going up, and more other people start buying and they stop buying at the bottom. Other people make the price go up, and then when it goes up enough, and they're like, okay, then that's enough, and then they dump again. So they're locking in that discrete profit on the back of everyone's fear, because when you break the previous low, that does confirm a downward trend, and then people panic sell. It's an obvious way to sort of make money. And so now here we are again for the third or fourth time of this process where I'm like, maybe it'll bounce here. Like, I'm hoping it will bounce a little bit and drawn like an Elliott wave thing, which I don't trust for a second, but it's potential. So I've got hope again, and I've got to stop working on hope because it's stupid and it's probably... But then equally the fear of being at the bottom, and I did this back here. When I went down so fast, I was at risk of being liquidated on my long positions. So I survived it, but it had done that and bounced and done that and bounced, and now I did this and bounced. And I think it was like here, I'm like, okay, then that's not a bad position. And I closed my longs there to stop any more potential losses. And of course it did that. And so I lost all of those gains. And then when it started crashing, I think I'm like, oh, look, there's a good crash. And I bought back in, only to see that happen. So I've just fucked myself over and over time again by selling the bottom and buying the first dip rather than waiting for the trend. And so here I am again with this long trend happening, and I'm like, shit, I've overextended myself again. I'm not in immediate danger, but the danger's present again and it's real. So we've confirmed the downtrend, so I should now sell all of my coins and short everything. And so I am literally, if I do that, I'm now once again selling the bottom. So I've backed myself into a stupid corner again. I can't long because I'm overextended, and I don't want to long because I don't trust that it's actually going up. At the moment, I'm just hoping for a little bounce just up to here so I can short it. But then, just... There's no way of knowing that it's not going to go up there, and then people go, ha, that's the bottom, particularly because it's so close to this bottom and within this one, so it's it's triple bottoms, we're going up, and it may create excitement, and it might go up to here again, maybe even up to there, but probably won't. But fuck, I can just imagine me doing that, selling all my coins, closing all my longs, and then shorting a couple of coins, and then it fucking does that, and just now I've got negative twice as much as my current negative, and I don't have all the crypto coins that could have made that gain. So hope and fear are driving me, and that's not how you trade. So I'm trying to apply one of the rules, which is patience and just waiting, because there will be a bounce. There's always a bounce. Bounces happen. As long as I survive the drop, wait for the bounce, wait for something. And I think, I don't know. If it starts moving down below this, I'll probably just flip my position and go short. Otherwise, at the moment, I'm hoping that it does get a bounce up to 7,000-ish. In the second week, close to 7,000, then I'll probably... that's right, I was going to close the longs and open up the biggest short I can without cashing out all my coins, because that way I hedge my bets. The coins, if it keeps going up, then at least my coins will offset the debt that I have, and if it goes down, then the shorts, as big as I can get them, will cover the degrading thing. As I said, the strategy the whole time, which is what's so frustrating, is I've been using that strategy. I did great down on this drop, not perfect, and some fucking stupid losses on bounces that hit stop losses and turned profits into losses, and little annoyances like that along the way, and fuck ups by Bitfinex. Cost me like $1,000 on a trade. So it hasn't been perfect, but I made money. And then I got here, and this just little bit of hope and belief that this was going to bounce has just screwed me the whole way down. I should have just flipped here when it was too weak. It just wasn't going anywhere. I should have gone short hard. And wow, I'd be really well off if I had done that. I don't know why. Well, hope. This is a bear market. I was hoping we've gone low, a higher low, a higher low. I thought maybe, the arches that I had were telling the future, but no, it's just 3 successive steps down, even if the intro day lows weren't lower. Okay, I gotta get on with actual work and stop thinking about Bitcoin, because it just makes me depressed and distracts me from productivity. So that's it for today. I'm running out of time today and not much is done. So irritating. Hard to be productive. So yeah, till tomorrow.